breathe underwater.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a story that will expose you to the manipulative, deceptive behavior that is common in the dope game, right? Now, this story is so detailed, I have divided it into at least 3 seasons, with each season consisting of 5 to 6 episodes in each season. Now, I know some of you don't like it when I divide my stories up. I get it. So for those of you that want to listen to all the episodes back to back, you can go to my membership page, sign up, and get your binge on, okay? Now, get ready, y'all, because this is it. Now, welcome, everybody, to the first season, first episode of Top Earner. Now, what is a top earner? A top earner is somebody that is in the dope game that's making the money, a lot of money, for the main supplier, right? Now, this story is about this dude named Leroy, right? Now, Leroy is a working class dude, right? He's currently working at a factory, right? And everything is going fine for him and his girlfriend, well, soon-to-be wife, Crystal, right? And one day, Leroy goes into work, and he finds himself called into the office of the supervisor with a lot of other guys, right? Now, while he's waiting to be called into the office, he's sitting there and he's wondering what's going on, right? Because, you know, he's never been called down to the office for anything, you know what I mean? And now he's seeing people go in the office and come out of the office, and when they come out of the office, they are angry, upset, and walking off cussing and mad, right? So when he goes into the office, the boss man tells him, look, we're making some cutbacks. We got to lay you off. We're going to give you some severance pay, but we may call you back later. Now, for Leroy, this is a shock because him and Crystal, they have just bought their first home together, taking on the 30-year mortgage, like most people do when they buy a home. They have 2 cars, which she has a job, and she pays, you know what I'm saying, for her own car and all of this and that, right? But they have expenses. They're trying to start their own family, right? So now when he comes out of there, his life is thrown into shambles. When he gets home, he tells his wife that he's got about another month, maybe 2, at work, and then they're going to be laying him off, but they're going to give him severance pay, and they may be calling him back. So essentially, he's fired. It's done. So he works the 2 months, hoping that something will change. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Crystal is being supportive, telling him that everything is going to be all right, but when the day comes that he actually is done at work, he has a panic attack. He starts to see himself, you know what I'm saying, as a failure. Crystal, she goes off to work, and now he's left at home all by himself. And he's sitting there wondering, what is he going to do? Now, he's already talked to a lot of people, and they told him that you need to go down to the unemployment office, see if they got anything they can do for you. They might have some jobs that you can go work until and if they call you back to work. This is what everybody's telling him. They're trying to get him to stay positive about the situation. But here's the thing. Leroy's had a lot of things go wrong in his life. He's in his early 30s. But when he was in high school, he was a basketball phenom. I'm talking about getting down. And he had dreams, like a lot of other people, to go to college and maybe get a shot at the NBA, and he would be set for life. That's the dream of a lot of young people in the hood. But like a lot of people, things happen. He blew out his knee, and after 2 surgeries, he just didn't have that speed anymore. He didn't have that blast, that burst to get around people. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing. Now, here's another issue in his life. Just when he thought things were going to be just fine with him and the way he wanted to go and live his life, him and Crystal, buying a house, got these bills, expenses, they're sharing this, both of them got good jobs. Now he's out of a job. Crystal is having to work. You understand what I'm saying? But he don't want everything to be put on her. And he's stressing. Never been in this situation before, but he has dealt with adversity. You understand? So here's the problem. He goes to the unemployment office. When he gets down to the unemployment office, he's got this severance pay. So they tell him right now he may not be eligible for unemployment, but they still make him fill out all the paperwork anyway. And he fills out all the paperwork. But while he's sitting there and filling out this paperwork, an old friend shows his face. Now, he hasn't seen this guy. This guy's name is Big Al. And he hasn't seen Big Al for at least 7 or 8 years. At least. So they're sitting there talking, and Big Al asked him, "What are you doing down here?" Because he said he had heard that he was working and doing good things and stuff like that, and about to get married and all of these types of things. And Leroy told him, yeah, all of that was true. I had a job, I got laid off, you know what I'm saying? And that's that on that. They may call me back, but in the meantime, in between time, I got to do what I got to do to make sure that I can take care of the house. You know what I'm saying? And he told him about Crystal and their plans and all of the different things that they were doing and whatnot. So Leroy asked Big Al, he said, man, where you been? Because they played on the basketball team together. They hung out a little bit after high school, but then, like most people, they grew apart, went their separate ways. So Big Al tells him, man, I got locked up. Big Al had been in the penitentiary, prison, right? So now, when you've been in the penitentiary, you start to learn to pay attention to body language, very close up, to watching to see what people look like when they respond to certain things you say or do, right? Now, Leroy meant no offense or anything like that, but when Big Al told him that he had been in the penitentiary, his facial expression kind of twisted a little bit, and that registered in Big Al's head. Now, why is that important? Because a lot of people in the penitentiary, you get twisted up, and you start to read body language and facial expressions in a negative way, even from people that know you or love you, care about you, old friends and all this and that, right? Because in this environment that we're in prison, you got to be on guard about everything and everybody, because everybody's got an agenda, and most of the time it's not good. So when Big Al reads this, he takes it the wrong way. And then to follow it up to make matters worse, he says to Big Al, man, I'm sorry that happened to you. Now, anybody else telling somebody that they're sorry something happened to them, you would take that as a gesture of somebody that cares about you and as a friend. But no. Once you've been twisted by this environment, it's hard for you to understand and appreciate when somebody really just cares about you in a genuine way, because you got to be careful about people in here, because they fake like they care, and the next thing you know, you getting played. So no, you got to be careful about that. So Big Al's mind, twisted as it is, when Leroy tells him, man, I'm sorry that what happened to you, guess what happens? He takes that to believe that Leroy thinks that he's better than him. And that's not what he meant at all. That's not what Leroy meant at all. But in his mind, he took it there. He took it there, right? But he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. So when Leroy was talking to him, they kept kicking it and whatnot. And Big Al said, man, so what's your plans? What you got going on? He said, man, again, like I say, I'm going to fill out these applications. I'm going to wait to see if they call me back and all this and that. Now, Leroy, being the pessimist that he is, like most people in the penitentiary are, he tells him, he said, man, go ahead on and move past them folks, man. I got something going on, man. You might want to get in on, right? Now, again, Leroy is a square. He don't get down like that at all. But you never know what's going on with people, right? When they find themselves on the wrong end of things, right, in their mind. Leroy's out of a job. He got a couple of months of severance built up, you know what I'm saying, and plus whatever other little savings that he had. So he tells Big Al, he said, man, I'll think about it. Worst thing you can ever do with somebody that propositions you with a criminal activity is to tell them that you're going to think about it. You need to shut it down ASAP. But Leroy didn't do that. So Big Al talked. He said, look here, man. If you find yourself in a tough situation, man, give me a call. He gave him his number, and then they parted ways. Now see, Big Al, in the twisted state of mind that he's in, he looked at that as like, yeah, he gonna call me, and when he called me, I'm gonna show him that he ain't no better than me. Again, don't get it twisted. Leroy didn't think that anyway. It's just that Big Al's mind is because he's feeling guilt and shame about the lifestyle that he ended up living, you understand? And now he don't want nobody judging him about the decision that he's made. And that's what a lot of people in the penitentiary do. They don't want nobody judging them about making their bad decisions. No matter what the reason is, don't judge me. That's what a lot of us feel. Because if, situations put people in bad spots, and then they make bad decisions. And then those bad decisions put you in an environment where you just turn to a negative individual. And that is what happened to Big Al. So a couple of weeks go by. And the frustration is starting to set in with Leroy and Crystal. Why is that? Because Crystal is saying, you need to get out and look for a job. Keep looking. Don't just sit around at home. Keep looking. Leroy is taking that as she's nagging him. Leroy's taking that as that she's seeing him as less than the man that he was before. It's not what she's doing. But his mind is playing tricks on him because we want to be the people, when we get in a relationship, we want to be the type of person that provides for the ones that we love. So he did what a lot of people do in situations like that. He left that door open with Big Al. He picked up the phone and he called him. Big Al answered the phone and said, what's going on, man? And he told him about the situation. He got a little too personal with Big Al about the conversation between him and Crystal. And Big Al said, man, look here, you remember the diner that we used to go to, man, after the games and all this next? And Leroy said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. He said, man, meet me there, man. Meet me there, man. I got something for you. So Leroy gets in his car, ain't got nothing else to do, and he rides to the diner. And when they get to the diner, both of them are sitting there talking. They order cheeseburger and french fries and the soda, and they're sitting there talking, reminiscing, because being in that diner brings back old memories about, when they was running that basketball court, and doing big things together in high school or not, and all those other types of things that you do when you're enjoying yourself when you're young and don't have any real responsibilities. But then they got down to business. And when they got down to business, that's when the conversation took a big turn. Leroy said, man, how can you help me, man? How can you help me? And then Big Al told him, he said, man, I got a couple of spots, man. All I need you to do, you can set up in them spots and work for me, you know what I'm saying? And it's a 60-40 split. All the business is going to come in there. You feel me? Now, Leroy never done nothing like this in his life. He said, man, excuse me, y'all. Leroy tells you, he said, man, I can't do that. I don't want nobody to know what I'm doing. Now Big Al looks at him and said, look, I don't know how you think you're going to be able to sell no dope without people seeing you. He said, that's just not how it works. He said, man, I just can't do that, man. I can't do that. I don't want nobody to know what I'm doing. I don't want my wife to find out what I'm doing. I don't want nobody to find out what's going on with me. So Big Al leans back and he thinks about it for a minute. He said, look, I got something for you. He said, I need somebody to ride and pick up my product for me. Now, if you do that twice a week, I'll pay you what I pay everybody else. You know what I'm saying? When I have them go. So he asked him, he said, how much is that? He said, each trip, I'm going to give you $2,500. He said, now all I got to do is ride, pick up something, and bring it back to you. He was like, yeah. He said, now you're going to pick up at Pack. And he said, how much will it be? He said, it's going to be 4 bricks. Now, he didn't understand what 4 bricks meant, so he broke it down to him. You feel what I'm saying? And told him a brick is a kilo. So he said, I'm going to pick up 4 of those. He was like, yeah. He said, well, how am I going to do it? He said, they're going to give you a bag. You put the bag in your trunk, and you just drive back to the city. Simple as that. He said, don't be speeding. Don't be doing anything to attract attention from the police and all this and that. You come back, I'll pay you your money. You go your way. That's it. That's it. That's all you have to do. And I'm going to get $2,500, Leroy said. Big Guy said, yeah, I'm going to give you $2,500. But you got to do it twice a week. That's 5 racks a week, y'all. 5 racks. So he tells Big Guy, he said, look, I'll try it. Let me try it one time, see how I feel, and then we'll go from there. Big Guy said, bet, let's do it. He said, I need you to go day after tomorrow, though. And then after that, it'll be another day or so. So Leroy said, okay. Big Guy said, I'll call you when I'm ready for you to go. He said, where do I have to go? He said, just a couple of cities over. He told him where he had to go. He's like, oh, okay. He said, I can do that in a couple of hours. He's like, yeah, you'll be back in 2 or 3 hours. And then you get your bread. Then you go your way, I go mine. And it's as simple as that. Nobody has to know anything. So they both agree Leroy, you know what I'm saying, he gets up and leaves. Big Al leaves. And while Big Al is in the car on his way back to his spot, he thinks, he said, he'll want to do more than this. He's going to want to do more than this. He said, I just got to get him hooked on this money. Now, Leroy's thinking like, shoot, I could do this a few times, build up some money, and then just walk away from this, and I'll be straight. I'll be straight. A couple of months, man, I'll be good. Think about this, y'all. Listen to me. If you're going to get 5 racks a week, 5 racks a week, 4 weeks in a month, that's 20 racks. 2 months, that's 40. A lot of people ain't making that a year. A lot of people ain't making that in a year. He most definitely wasn't making that in a year working at that warehouse. But he was making good money. He was making good money. The fact that work is hard, but again, it ain't $40,000 in 2 months. See what I'm saying? So the next day comes up. He gets a call from Big Al. Big Al tells him the spot. He said, look, brother, I'm waiting on you. You know what I'm saying? When you get there, tell them you coming for me. They already know what it is. You feel me? They waiting on you. They know the type of car that you're driving, so they'll be looking for you. Leroy heads out. He heads out, and he's driving. He's riding down the road. He's playing his music. And then he's thinking about, okay, I can get caught up on my bills. I can get all of these other things taken care of, this and then the third. And then he passes the police, right? You know, the police be sitting how they sometimes be sitting behind them billboards or off to the side of the road or whatever the case may be. And normally when he would pass by a police officer, he would wave at him. So he didn't change that up. He just waved at him. You got to keep in mind, Leroy is a law-abiding citizen. He ain't never done nothing shady. Nothing. So he just waves at him, and he goes on about his business. And he gets on to the spot. He talks to dude. Dude recognizes him because this dude that lives in the other city, he played on another basketball team that played against Leroy and Big Al back in the day. So they have a little 5-10 minute conversation, and then they give him the bag. He puts the bag in the trunk just like he was told, gets in the car, and he's on his way back to the city. Now here's the thing. Let me show you something. Now he's got dope in the car. Got dope in the car. So when he's on his way back to the city and he passes by another police officer that's just sitting there parked, you know how they sit there with the little gun and they just trying to see if anybody's speeding. And now, because he knows he has something in the car, his whole demeanor changed. And this is how it starts in the beginning. Your mind will start to trick you and make you believe that you need to act a certain way to be able to pursue this avenue that you're on, this course that you're on, and you're going to be safe. But what it does is changing you as a person. So now instead of waving at that police officer as a law-abiding citizen, he's nervous. And he's sitting up straight and he's driving, he's looking down at the speedometer. And now in the back of his head, he's saying, well, they're going to notice that I didn't wave at them. No, they're not. They don't know you. But his mind is playing a trick on him. His mind is playing a trick on him. So he goes on, he gets back to the spot, gets back to the house, drops the stuff off to the Big Al. Big Al pays him in cash, just counting them out, counting that thing out. 25 of them $100. You understand what I'm saying? Just counting them things out. And now he's looking like, man, I'm straight. So they talk a little bit, and when he leaves, he stops by all the places, because it's still during the day, he stops by all the places that he can pay the bill. He pays up, gets caught up on all his bills, and he still got a few hundred left. Paid all the bills, lights, electricity bill, would have paid on some on the mortgage, this is that. Then he stopped at the bank, put some money in the bank, and now he got a couple of hundred left in his pocket. He's feeling good. He's feeling real good. Then he goes home, and he's just happy, he's dancing, and all of these different types of things. And he's talking to Crystal. And Crystal's like, why are you so happy? He said, well, I got me a day job, paying cash, so I wouldn't caught up on all the bills. He told her all the bills that he wouldn't pay, and she's ecstatic. She's like, oh, really? Where is it at? What do you do? She's asking specific questions that he can't answer. So for the first time in the relationship, guess what he does? He lies. He lies to the woman that he loves because he's embarrassed and ashamed. He wants to keep the secret. So he lies. Now, something inside of her made her suspicious. You know, that woman's intuition, right? But she loves him, so she pushed right past that. And that night they made love, And while she was laying in the bed asleep afterwards, he's laying there thinking, man, I lied to my future wife. What's going on? He's really thinking about this because it's making him feel bad. And that's what happens when you first venture off into something like this. You don't really notice it. But Leroy's noticing, and I want to point these things out to you because this is the beginning of the change that you're going to go through when you get involved in stuff. Your whole behavior is going to change, but it's real subtle. It's real subtle. And to be able to continue to do what you want to do because you've convinced yourself this is the option for you, you leave the door open to this, you're going to start to ignore those feelings that you're having, those feelings of guilt, those feelings that saying, stop, you shouldn't do this. You're going to ignore and you're going to suppress them. And the more you suppress them, guess what? The number you're going to be, and the more you're going to be open to doing whatever you need to do, legal, illegal, whatever, to be able to pay your bills. And that's where you go wrong. Now, here we go. Leroy only thought about doing this for a couple of months, but time is flying, and he's making this money. And then he starts to think about, well, man, I can't keep putting all this money in the bank. So he doesn't put it all in the bank. He pays his bills. He pays his bills in cash. Now, keep in mind, this is back in the day when they really didn't have all these tight banking regulations. But he pays his bills in cash. He's putting money up, right? Now, the things for the house, like food and all of that, he pays out of the money that Crystal makes. So he's learning to dip and dodge and keep the appearance of a law-abiding citizen, but not necessarily being a law-abiding citizen. After 1 year, do the math. How much money has he made? $400. Almost a half a meal. Because if you're making 20 a month, if you're making 20 a month, you got 10 months, that's 200,000. So it's about 200. So you're making about $250,000. $250,000, man. Yeah. A little bit, right at $250,000, $240,000. He couldn't have made that working at that factory in 5 years, maybe not even in 10. Now he's got this money put up, and he's got money put up. He's got money put up in shoe boxes. He got money hid in the house. He got money everywhere, and he's been keeping this secret from his wife. But she knows that he's never complaining about bills or nothing, and he's not even looking for a job anymore. And she says to him, tell me what's going on. Because you are not just doing day labor in another place, you know what I'm saying, outside the city that they live in, and making this kind of money to where you don't even ask about bills no more. They don't even have those kind of conversations. They are way ahead on the mortgage, months ahead on the mortgage. All their bills are caught up, and he ain't been doing nothing but trafficking up and down these highways. So he sets her down and he tells her, he said, I want to apologize to you first. And this is how we do. We always start out wanting to say I'm sorry and I love you. But I've been doing some things that for us. I've been doing some things for us because I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I'm the man in the house, I need to take care of things. And we tell ourselves that, and we tell the person that we love that because we want them to continue to see us as a man. Back straight. You know what I'm saying? I handle this, and I'm doing this for us. Doing this for you. And she's sitting there listening to him. And while she's listening to him, surprisingly, she's looking at him and she's not complaining, arguing, or nothing. Nothing. She said, well, baby, we're in this together. We're in this together. And if you feel like this is what you need to do, be careful. That right there is a big red flag. Big red flag. If you're in a situation and the person that you love and care about the most is open to you doing it or willing to accept the fact that you're doing it, you might want to rethink some things. because now the door is wide open for Leroy. He's done something. He's come clean to his future wife, and she's accepting of it. So he's not feeling the guilt of hiding from her anymore his activities. He's not feeling any shame at all because she knows exactly what it is that he's doing. And now to him, I got the green light. But they continue to talk, and she said, okay, how long are you going to continue to do this? And he says to her, as long as I can until we get straight. Well, what does that mean? You got $240,000. Well, not exactly that because you've been paying bills, but still you got more money than you probably would have made in 10 years. And you still want more because that's what money will do to you. That's what money will do to you when you get a taste of it, when you don't have a real plan. When you don't have a real plan. And now, an opportunity is about to be presented to him that's going to change his life and Crystal's life in a way that they could have never imagined. Never imagined. But you're going to have to come back and listen to the next episode, unless you decide to go to the membership page so you can binge and listen to all of the episodes. Whichever one you do, you know I'm cool with it, fam. You know I'm cool with it. You know I'm cool with it. But let me know what you think about the episode in the comment section. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I've been trying to breathe underwater.